little intro didn't work right there. Evie Mux has had a lot of problems this week, and I was on earlier today, and I ran the video and it worked good. But it looks like the closing thing was, or the where it says we're live, is just like a little shadow there of whatever. So anyway, I'll have to fix that for the next show. But thanks everyone for being on. We're gonna get going here. I've got my guest. We're gonna have her bring her up here and hope it all works well. Holly Gutwillinger.
Hello. Yes,
Close.
excellent.
Okay, good.
Excellent. Well done.
How are you doing, Holly?
Amazing today. It was just an all-around great day. No complaints.
Great.
Yep.
So you live in Northern Ontario, right?
Yes.
So give us a
Yep.
little bit about yourself, all the important things people know about Holly.
Okay. Gosh, what do we want to know about Holly? I was born and raised in Northern Ontario, although I've lived in other parts of Canada more north than this, and which have all been amazing experiences. But we came back to take care of our parents, so we're here. I have two adult sons who are pretty amazing humans, and two senior rescue dogs who are pretty amazing dogs. Although they've had their moments. So there's that. I love to write. I love to do all things creative, and I dabble in so many things. You don't even have enough time here tonight, Randy, to list all of my hobbies, but I do
Stay tuned
dabble in
for
a lot
part
of things.
two.
Yeah, stay tuned for part two.
Part two, yeah.
Yeah, and just having I'm retiring soon, so I'm very excited about that. Going to write my little life away, the rest of what I have here on this earth, and just gonna have a good old time. And thanks for being here. Like me being on your podcast.
Well, I have to say, it's
Mhm.
always hard telling Cam, you look too young to be retiring. So
I,
you
I
must be
really
90.
shine the lights in the right way. But thank you. I mean, it is, I am probably on the younger side for retiring, but I'll likely work again someday. But I'm going to take a little break from work and try to enjoy a good chunk of 6 months off to do whatever I want to do.
Well, that's great. So what did you do? What did you do in your professional life beyond writing?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've worked in administration my entire life. I've worked for at least 35 years in all the places that we've lived. And so just, I kept building on my skills for work. I'd change jobs and I would sort of step up the ladder, I suppose. And, I work in as a public servant here in Canada. And it's time to go. The government of Canada is making some changes, and I think this is a good time for me to go. And who knows what that next career will look like? Maybe it'll be a full time writer. Maybe I'll be working at the coffee shop, but it's all gonna be good.
So what are winters and summers like in Northern Ontario?
Amazing.
Yeah,
Although my favorite season is fall, which is
yeah,
coming soon,
sure.
and there is certainly a shift in the air now. It's almost like on August 1st you can smell the shift. Like there's that cool, crisp, clean air of the night, and it's happening. The change is starting to happen. The leaves are starting to change colors. Winters are very different now than they used to be when I was a kid, and they're not as severe here. But summers are beautiful, a little too hot, and unfortunately, we're all feeling that, I suppose, all over the world. But our four seasons are quite amazing. Spring is my least favorite, but we need it.
Yeah, we've been horribly dry here in
Mm.
Colorado where I live,
Hmm.
and fires have been a big issue and stuff,
Yep.
and yes, crazy hot for this
Yes.
time of year. So
Yeah.
um, we could use some more normal winter weather, some snow and stuff. We get most of our water. It comes from snowpack. Are you near now the northern Ontario? There, you're above the Great Lakes. Are you near the Great Lakes anyway, or are you
Mm,
fairly far north?
a little further. I mean, that's all. I suppose that's a matter of opinion, but we're not right on the Great Lakes. So where I live, it's like we get weather up here, down here, and we're in the middle. So we always seem to avoid the more serious weather.
Yeah.
And no complaints. I mean, other than being a little bit more isolated from larger centers and things to do and places to see, it's a really great place to live. Yeah.
So your audio kind of went a little funky
Oh,
there. So hopefully it'll straighten out okay. I heard a
yeah.
bling and then it kind of went a little.
Oh,
We could hear you okay. It was just kind
okay.
of a little bit wobbly. So hopefully we'll
Okay.
hold on. Or so.
Okay.
So what do you do to pass the time? What kind of hobbies do you have living there? What do you enjoy that helps relieve the stress of work
Yes.
beyond before you retire when that stress will be gone?
Well, oh gosh, like I said, how much time do we have, Randy? I like to hang out with my dogs, of course. So we do lots of walking, lots of trail walking. I'm a, I like to run, bike, hike, all those things. But I also like to be creative. So I'm a knitter. I draw, I paint. Not great, but I just dabble.
Right.
And felting. It just goes on. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. But I love to dabble in things. Right now, my newest obsession is tiny pottery. And so you create these little wee pieces of pottery on a little wee pottery wheel. And I just love it. I purchased this massive log home, but it's a like dollhouse, I suppose,
Right.
mini house. And my plan is to refinish it, give it a nice fresh coat of paint, and decorate the entire inside of it. So can you see I'm all over the map with that? Oh, and writing, of course.
Of course, yeah. So obviously you like to write. So
Hmm.
were you a big reader when you were young in school, and did you dabble in writing as well?
I didn't.
Really?
And people ask me that question, and it took me a while to really come up with rejigging these memories, but I wasn't a creative writer. I loved writing in school, though. I do remember that. I loved school. And so handwriting was very important in my life, and it was important at school, period. But I love to write letters, and I would take special care doing my work at school. I remember loving grade 11 and 12 English class, but never really ventured beyond that. So writing was always just kind of I don't know, a thing I did. I wrote letters to families, friends, that sort of thing, made cards. I was creative that way. But what I do remember is I was a storyteller. I maybe not a teller to people in front of me, but I was a lonely little kid. My siblings were gone by the time I was 8 years old, and I told stories in my room. I had all my stuffed animals, and I had a Gene Simmons Kiss poster in the basement, which was my sister's. But anyways, that's a whole other story. And I would create these stories. I would invent these scenarios and act them out, and so yeah, that sort of has come back to me in the most recent past, and I like thinking about those times. So I really believe that I was building this foundation for what I'm doing now because I was that little kid behind the wingback chair in the living room creating something out of nothing, like paper and
Right.
all that stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where it comes from. My creativity has just sort of evolved, but now I do love writing all things. Yeah.
And what about reading books? Were you a big reader as well, or not really that either when you were younger?
I don't really ever recall being that kid who sat there with a book nonstop. I do remember reading, and
Hmm.
I would do the Scholastic book. Oh, I can't remember what it was called exactly. I should look it up. It's where you took a sheet of paper, you went to all your neighbors' houses, a sponsorship or pledging, and they would pledge money like $1 if I read 10 books in the summer. And then you'd bring that back to school. And so I do remember those type of events, but serious reading really came in when I was an adult and I had two small children because, every new mother has so much time to read, insert sarcasm. But I read the Outlander series. I didn't read the full series, but I started with that and I was hooked. And so it's kind of just evolved from there as well.
So you talk about your dogs,
Hmm.
and so I love when I went to your website and you talk about rescue dogs, and
Yeah.
I'm a huge rescue dog guy. I mean, just I've
Hmm.
always loved, and I got this off your website. We're going to cover you up for a minute. So These are your two dogs,
Those are
correct?
my boys. Yeah.
So what breeds are they and what are their names?
So the one that's in the front, this photo just makes me like it's so beautiful, but it makes them look a little intimidating as well. So Johnny Cash is in the front.
Johnny Cash. All right.
Johnny
The
Cash,
man in
and
black, huh?
yes,
Yeah.
and that's how he came to me when he was a rescue. They named him Johnny Cash.
Hmm.
He is, we think, a boxer pointer, but we're not really sure. I
Hmm.
mean, we just don't know. And Sully, is in the back, and he's a shepherd mix, and he fears everything in life, and Cash fears nothing. But they're much older now, and that photo was a few years ago, and now Cash's face is a beautiful white. And he looks so handsome there, but he's even more handsome now, but he's just, his whole head is white. Yeah.
So yes, they start to get. We have a lab, and she's like 7, 8, and
Yeah.
she has more gray on her face, more than I have, even a lot longer, and it's amazing. It's like we keep giving her a hard time. You're going prematurely gray, dog.
Yeah.
It seems so bad. So rescue. So
Hmm.
what is it about rescue dogs that you think makes them special? And I always have my opinion, but I always love to hear what other people think. What makes them worthwhile for people to stop going to these puppy mills to get their dogs and look
Yeah.
at rescues and give them a good home.
Well, I mean, there are so many reasons, and every dog deserves a good home, whether it's, a bougie dog or a rescue dog. But for me, a rescue dog is, um, I think they're hardy dogs, really. They're a makeup of different types of dogs, as opposed to, excuse me, like a purebred tends to have an issue of some sort, or they're known for something. Rescues don't tend to have problems. Like it's like they have an iron stomach and, bodies that go forever. And so, first of all, I think that's just kind of interesting about them, but they can be so beautiful in their own way because they're a makeup of different dogs, of course. And their circumstances can be very, um, you never know. You never know what you're going to get with a rescue. So, yes, that can go either way. You can get a rescue like Sully, who has so many things going on with him, but matched up with the right human, that dog can have a really good life. Ash, he's the opposite, but he also has like his own issues. But I think that if you have the right match with the right human, then they get to have a life that is thriving and they get to be a dog and the human gets to enjoy them. Now, that's not to say purebreds can't either. It's just different. I mean, there's so many dogs and cats in this world, and a lot of people don't believe in spaying and neutering, so it makes it very difficult to control that. So, which leads to problems of overpopulation, right?
Yeah.
How about you, Randy? What's your thought on that?
Oh yeah, I mean, to me, I just think you go into the shelters and you say, and I go in there and I would want to adopt all of them. It seems like, there are obviously some that don't appeal to me as much as others,
Yeah.
but usually you go in there and you just find that dog and you see it and it's just like, oh yeah, this dog is perfect. Like one of our labs that we had before we have our dog, Abby now. I went and she was from a Texas shelter that brought them up to Colorado because Texas, they have a hard time finding homes for them there. But in Colorado, they can bring them up here and they get adopted just like that.
Oh,
And that dog, as soon as I had it, it just sat right next to me, just boom, just
yeah.
followed me wherever I went. And I
Yeah.
knew right then and there that was going to be the perfect dog. And it's the same thing with
Mm.
our daughter, with her. She got an American pit bull, which pit bulls get a bad
Yeah.
rap, especially
Yep.
here in the United States.
Yes.
And she went and she just fell in love. And that dog is the sweetest dog in the world,
Mm.
and she's got so much energy.
Mhm.
But they just are so happy to have a
Yeah.
home. And one of our dogs, the dog we have now, Abby, who's a lab, she's scared of everything too.
Oh, yeah.
Noises. If I'm watching a football game and I say "doggone it," she runs out of the room. So she came from an environment that was bad,
Yeah.
And so I have to try to be careful, about what I say around her and stuff. But then she comes back in the room and she wants to jump up and sit right next to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're fabulous. So which of the two dogs did you get them both at the same time? And then so you got
No.
one, and then did you have to introduce one to the other before you decided they were going to be a good match?
Yes. And actually, I incorporate that into the book because the stories about the dogs in the book are their lives. But when we got Cash on the third or fourth day we had him, he jumped out of my son's second story window because the window was open, but the screen was shut.
Right.
And my husband had gone out to get sandwiches for supper, and by the time he came back, the dog had shot out the window. The neighbor saw it happen, saw him land on his feet, and kept running. And so that was just the beginning with Cash, and it just goes on and on and on. And I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this dog? He had reactive issues with other dogs. We got kicked out of dog parks, took him to dog behavior lessons, obedience, that sort of thing. So I thought, oh, let's get another dog. I've never had two big dogs together. So, anyways, we managed to get Sully, and the attendant said to us, "Oh yeah, he's so broken, he'll never react to your dog." And I thought, well, that's sad, but sounds like he's the right dog. So we brought him home, and we thought for sure Cash was just gonna unleash on him like he's done to many other dogs, but
Yeah.
we figured hopefully we can get it to work. Cash went over to him, gave him one of his little, growls. I won't mimic it here for, to scare away your listeners and viewers. But he gave him one of his, quick little, and then he backed away, and that was it. And they have been together ever since. So we're going well over 10 years now with both dogs. They get along, although they respect each other's space. They don't really even interact a lot. So probably if I would have never gotten Sully, they would have never been any different, but they do look for each other. If I take one for a walk and leave the other one at home, they look for each other when I arrive home with the dog. So yes, we got Cash first and then Sully second to keep Cash company or to try and change his behavior. That wasn't the right answer, but we love them both. So
Do they have a big yard for them to run around
I
in?
do.
Because those dogs,
Yeah.
they're like my dogs, our dogs, because my daughter lives with us and she's got
Yeah.
her dog in there and they just destroy our backyard because they're running back and forth
Oh
everywhere.
yeah. I mean, and now my boys, the fur boys are older, so they don't even run as much. Cash will run one length of the yard and then he lays down, which is, kind of makes me sad in a way. But yeah, always lots of room for my dogs, and we take them on long walks, and I think we're good dog parents.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Yeah, I always love to hear about rescue dogs and people
yeah.
finding rescue dogs. And I have another author friend of mine, Kathleen Donnelly. She trains service dogs and canines and stuff, and she goes to the rescues and finds them. And she says,
Oh,
"I'm usually looking for the orneriest dog there is, because that type of attitude works well in what she's looking for in that type of dog."
wow.
And
Interesting.
it's so great when they find homes.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about your book. So your book deals with someone who's looking for a dog in their life, I'm assuming, and I'm going to throw up the book cover here. So tell us a little bit about your book and how long it took you to write it, and give us
Okay.
all the scoop.
All the things. Okay. Well, one day, son, sounds like once upon a time, I was sitting in the backyard, and after years of trying to fix my dogs, I was looking at Sully thinking, what can I do for you? How can I make your life better? And he started bouncing towards me, and his floppy ears were going, and his tail was wagging, and something just sort of clicked. And in his voice, I heard him say, I'm okay. Like, don't worry about me so much. I mean, yeah, I got stuff going on, but I'm okay. Just accept me the way I am. I've accepted you. And from there, something happened. I kept writing. I kept sitting with my dogs in a different way than I had before. And I was observing, spent far too many hours at the dog park by myself without a dog, which was a little odd for when people said, "Oh, which one is yours?" And I'd say, none. But anyways, I'm doing research. So I would make notes. And then eventually I met a writing group and I just started writing and putting them into scenes and then chapters. I started out with autofiction. So it was me in the story and my family and the dogs. And then I thought, wouldn't it be fun to give Sully a voice, which I did. And then I fictionalized the rest. So I recreated the characters. Now she's heavily based on me, of course, but new name, new life. All of the details are not mine. She just has traits that are similar to mine. But everything that happens to the dogs in the book is true, other than them being in the woods and talking to one another. But if you want to believe that, that's okay too. So I would say about 3 years from start to finish for this book. It was certainly a labor of love. And in fact, I launched the book on February 14th, which is my favorite day of the year, as a love letter to my dogs. So I dedicated it to them. Yeah. And I'm just, I'm enjoying the process of podcasts such as yours, Randy, and talking about it. And it's interesting though, right? Because you do all these podcasts and interviews and you're like, how can I put a different spin on this story? But I'm like, no, I don't need to. It's the story. It is what it is. And it's every time I hear myself talk about it, I kind of can't believe that I'm sitting here talking about this. So, yeah.
So who's the main character in the book? Is Sully the name of the dog in the book as well?
Yes. Yeah. I
Okay.
kept their names the same.
Okay.
Again, the details for the dogs are pretty much spot on the same. I recreated the rescue story, but I was aware of it. So even that is pretty factual. Renly Nelson is the protagonist's name in honor of Willie Nelson because he's like my favorite singer. So
Yeah, Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash in this. Okay.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little Easter eggs in the book that if you know me, you pick up on them. And that's something I love to do in my writing is to put the things that I love. So Renly Nelson is the protagonist and she's living her life and she's, at that point where her job is kind of like, oh, I can't stand this job anymore. And her boys are gone to post-secondary school. They just lost another dog, Chance, who was our dog, in fact, another rescue dog. And so she goes on a rescue mission for one day with her best friend, who's the director of a local shelter. And they pick up this pack of dogs, and Sully is the youngest one in the pack. And then from there, they come back and their lives intertwine, right? They come and they're separated. They come back together, separated, and I'll just leave it at that. But it's a happy ending. Yeah. And no dogs are hurt in the writing of this book. Except for when Sully gets caught up in the tree, but, it's all good.
So it's really about the relationship between the dog and it. So is it written in third person, first person? Do you see points of view from the dog?
Yes.
How is that?
So Renly Nelson's point of view is third person.
Mm-hmm.
But then I chose to write Sully's in first person. And he narrates his own story. So we see the story in two different ways, and we're following their own respective stories. But I felt with first person with Sully, it just was more fitting, and I was able to kind of personify him better that way. And in fact, people say, well, it must have been really difficult to write the point of view of a dog. And I said, no, actually, it was easier than writing the human's point of view. I don't know, there was just something, it just sort of flowed out of me. And it's hard to explain, but I suppose just sitting there observing my dogs as much as I did made it easier. And now that I'm writing other pieces of work, it's just part of my writing makeup now.
So did you read any of Sully's chapters to Sully and get his approval on it or anything like that?
Got a high paw on it. Yeah, I did a few videos, of me sitting by the fire here and reading to the two dogs, and that was pretty cute, but they probably could care less. They were just waiting for the treats. Yeah, I would love, love, love to put this in an audiobook, though. I think bringing Sully's voice to life would be so much fun. But we'll
Yeah.
see.
Do you have an idea of how that voice is going to sound?
Kind of, yeah. Like not too high pitched, but not really low, kind of in the middle. Boyish, I suppose, right? Because that's he's the youngest one, and he's kind of naive and has some fears. But audiobooks are not easy to achieve at this point, especially for a self-published author.
Right.
And I would love, love, love to figure it out. And that's definitely on my goal list. But we'll see.
So the shelter that in the character in the book found Sully in, is that the same shelter that you found Sully in? Did you use the
Yes.
same name or did you change the name?
I changed the name.
Yeah.
It's funny because people from my hometown, they're like, "Is this the shelter that you use?" And I said, "Yes." They go, "We recognize it by the decor." So
Yeah.
I was able to describe it. And yes, it is the shelter that Sully came from, but Cash came from a different place. Yeah.
Right.
Still local, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a
yeah.
lot. I mean, there's a lot of places to find dogs.
Oh, yeah. Too many.
Yeah, unfortunately, and
Hmm.
there are people who are giving up dogs too. Sometimes you don't have
Yes.
to go to a shelter. There's people who have a dog and they got it as a puppy and didn't realize what was involved, which I find amazing to me. It's like
Yeah.
you did not realize what it takes to take care of a dog. So I
Yeah.
hope they were smarter than that when it came to their children. So because really, dogs are just an extension of our family. So and
Really, and it's funny, I was talking to someone the other day and they have a few dogs and they said, I've put them in my will. I'm like, huh,
sure.
I don't think that most people think of that, right? So
Well, generally,
interesting.
you go through a few generations of dogs in your
That's right.
life. As we get older, then it would be more likely. But obviously, something surprising could happen to you. Yes.
That's
So
right.
yes, you want to take care of the dogs
Yes.
as well. But yes, I have not done that. I probably should have.
Well, I
Really,
think, sorry,
oh,
Randy.
we have to update it.
Yeah.
Dogs as you go through dogs through the years and they pass
Yeah.
on and stuff. So yeah.
And I think that a lot of older people, couples, singles shy away from getting dogs for that reason.
Right.
So, yeah, something to consider.
So the dogs you have, they're larger dogs. Have you had dogs before that? Have they always been larger dogs, or have you had different breeds? How?
Oh, so many kinds. Like my
Yeah.
father used to build cars and he used to bring a new car, like an old vintage car home every week. Well, that's kind of how I was with dogs. So I've had so many different kinds of dogs, rescue dogs. We did dabble in the small dog phase. I did get a Chihuahua and Abigail Bubbles was her
Yeah.
name. And she was adorable and she stayed with us until her last years. But I prefer the big dogs. I'm not going to lie. I love going for walks and hikes, and I like having them beside me and having a presence. So, but I loved Abby. She was a sweet little Chihuahua.
So I think I saw on your website you have a cat as well.
Oh yes, Willow.
And
Yeah,
so how does the cat deal with the dogs? How does that all go for you?
they all kind of live their lives in
Yeah.
this in this yard, in this structure. It's hilarious to watch them. They all kind of have a corner of the house, and they might check in every now and again with each other. But the cat, she does her own thing. She was a barn cat. And
Oh,
so there is no cuddling with her unless it's on her terms, of course.
right.
And they're all the same age. So either I'm going to be really sad for a while,
Yeah.
but in her older days, I have to say she's mellowing a little bit. And she'll allow just a little bit more cuddle time. But again, as soon as you move your pinky or your toe, she's off. She sprints off, and it is what it is. But I love her for who she is. Yeah.
So you mentioned you were independently published.
Yes.
So how did that go for you? Did you try to put the book out with agents? Usually you have to go through an agent first before most
Yes.
publishers even look at you.
Yeah.
How did that all go when you started to get into that process of, okay, now I've got a book here. Now I want to think about getting it out there for the world to read.
Well, I mean, even one step before that, I never even thought I would have a book. Like I
Yeah.
truly, I was writing this for me.
Right.
No one else was ever going to see it. And to have the book was just a shock and a surprise as I kept moving forward with this project. So, I mean, I did contemplate the traditional path for a very short period of time. And then I thought, gosh, it took me 3 years to get this thing together. I'm not going to wait for somebody to choose me. So, I mean, that might sound a little egotistical, but I said, I choose me. I'm just going to go for it. But I think it's because I had different goals than let's say somebody else who wants to sell thousands and thousands of books and become a bestseller. That really wasn't my intention. My goal was to sell so many, and then anything beyond that was a bonus. But it was also a way for me to give back to shelters because I donate a portion of each book that I sell. And so, yeah, I contemplated traditional agent for very short amount of time, and then I moved on from there. And then that way I was really able to do what I wanted, like the cover, the inserts, the way that I promoted the book, how many copies I purchased. It's been an amazing experience. But I'm also not afraid to ask questions. So I learned a lot. And podcasts were where I really did learn the most of my knowledge in that very beginning part. And then I would find other ways, other avenues, network, meet people, ask questions, attend conferences. And eventually it just kind of came together. And so now as I approach the next project, it's just that much easier. I'm not saying it's all figured out and super easy, but I don't know, you just have to muddle your way through sometimes, right? And that's how you learn. So
Yeah.
no agents, no publishers, but that's okay. I am Ramblings from the Little Shed Publishing. That's who
Yes.
I am.
Yes, that's what I saw. Ramblings from the Little Shed Publishing.
That's right.
Yeah. So what are you one of those people that tries to write every day, or how does your process work?
No, I don't try to write every day. I try to create every day. So whether that's writing, creating, working on one of my hobbies, reading, that's what I try to do. Learning is part of that as well. I am in school as well, so that's part of it. But my process is whatever the day brings. Now, what I have noticed in this last small project that I just finished the other day is that once I turn on the tap, it flows. But I have to sort of be in that basin for the water. I can't really get into it, stop. Like I realize that I need to be fully immersed in it. So I went to visit my son in Toronto where I have no responsibilities, right? Don't have to take care of anything at work, house, anything like that. And when I was there, I was able to just write. So I would write, go for a walk, write, go for a coffee, and just continue that. And it works. And so that's what convinces me that if I get into that flow state, it's good. I mean, and then after the revision comes, it's a bit easier to be more, to do it in chunks of time. And so, yeah, that's kind of my process. I mean, do I have little quirks? Absolutely. The first book was written with Chris Stapleton in my ears, and I couldn't write without him. He is mentioned in the book, of course. And I was so disappointed. He was just in Toronto, and I didn't know.
Oh,
But
missed out on Chris, huh? Yes.
so that having a nice drink at my side, yeah, sure. I love all those little creature comforts, I suppose. Writing in my shed is one of my favorite places to be. But I'm not. The pen doesn't have to be to the right, and exactly in certain ways.
The pen.
Oh, the
You
pen.
still
Yeah,
write a lot with your hand as opposed to your lefty, looks like.
I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I don't write with the pen as much because the left hand is getting sore as I get older. I type on the computer, but I do write a lot. Whether it's I still write letters and, notes to my boys, my husband, and that sort of thing. Calligraphy is one of my favorite things to do as well. So, and I love to do thank you notes in my books. With my podcast, most of the time, like I try to send a thank you card written, handwritten. So I always have a pen handy.
Calligraphy. So, do you have one of the little ink,
I
little
do.
pens that you can dip in the ink and
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I do. I have that and I have brush pens. That's like the cheater's version
Yeah.
of the fountain pen. Yeah.
So you talked about your process. So do you consider yourself, a pantser? Do you consider yourself a plotter? Or you sit in somewhere in between? How does that work for you?
So I was definitely a plotter in the
Yeah.
very beginning. And I love that process. I love index cards. I'm old school in a lot of ways. I love analog, but I love index cards. I love, you know, bullet points, anything that is tactical, right? Like paper, I will write down my outline and then I'll put it on an index card and then I'll post it everywhere. I love mind mapping. That's one of my favorite things to do as well. And so I just let the story expand. So yes, I was a plotter through and through, but that has changed. I can't really get into a full project without planning it out to some extent, but it might just be a little bit less detail. And I'm trying to allow that spontaneity to come through. And it's working. I mean, I think it's because I'm trusting myself far more. Oh my gosh, I'm just having one of these moments of, huh, that's why I do that now. Thanks, Randy.
Yeah.
But I think I just trust my ability now, whereas in the beginning, I didn't. I had all those doubts and I still do to a certain extent, but not as much. So I think I trust my ability to be able to, flesh out a story on my own without having to have every single thing planned.
So do you have beta readers? Have you been in critique groups? Do you have people to give you feedback
Yeah.
to help with your writing?
Definitely, all of the above. I love to have beta readers, and they just give such great feedback. Now, that's a muscle that you have to exercise, right? It's not easy to take feedback from people, especially when you're brand new. But for whatever reason, I never struggled with that. I think it's because I was hard enough on myself and I had enough self doubts that well, I mean, I don't know. You would think that I would have had difficult time taking feedback, but I didn't. So maybe it's just because I trusted the people that were providing me with that feedback, and I thought, okay, if this is what they said, then I need to consider it. Doesn't mean you change your work because somebody has an opinion on something. It's just their opinion. Reading and writing is subjective to the person who's behind the pen or behind the book. But critique groups, yes, definitely part of that. I just believe that it's very, very important. Now, whether you have someone you can brainstorm with and you can throw ideas back and forth with, exchange work, I think it's very important and crucial if you're going to keep learning, keep evolving as a writer, because you have to take other people's consideration or thoughts into consideration, right? When you're working on a piece. I mean, sure, you could write a book and never have anyone look at it and you can publish it, but each his own. Yeah, and I'm also part of a creative group. They're not all writers, but we've got an artist, a digital designer, a person who works, just in journaling, and then we have some writers in there. We meet on Friday nights and we'll have sprints and then we'll stop, we'll chat a bit, sometimes too much, and then another sprint. So I think it's just important to find your people and people that you trust with your heart, with the things that are very personal to you in your writing, because those are moments when you're very vulnerable, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. It's you're putting what's on the inside out. So, yeah.
So how do you feel like how has your writing changed and evolved through all this process? And hopefully we get better, obviously, but I
Yeah.
mean, um,
Yeah.
your stories, your ideas evolve as well, and all that. So how do you feel that's gone as you've gotten deeper into this?
Well, I've always considered myself a writer from the heart, and I don't think I'll ever change that title. So the writing I used to do was certainly based in writers, personal letters, pen pals, that sort of thing. And I would infuse a lot of emotion into the letters, but it was always Holly's point of view. And so as I've evolved as a writer, well, I had to learn. And so I had to learn the craft of writing. And I don't know that I actually knew all of the pieces that fall into a story, the beginning, the middle, and an end, and everything in between. You know, you've got character arcs, you've got dialogue, you've got exposition, all those things. Whereas I just wrote, I would tell you everything I felt. So I would definitely tell and not show. Let's put it that way. And I think I've gotten better at showing. I still like to infuse feelings and I catch them. You know, I was proofreading something last night and I'm like, gosh darn it. You know, I caught the word feel and seem far too many times. But I think I've improved. When I look back on some of the earlier pieces, I can see it. And I think that is important to look back on some of the first things that you've done, to see how far you've come. And it's not a race. It's certainly not a judgment as to how far you've come, because it's writing. You know, you can just write from the heart for the rest of your life if you want to. You don't even have to show it to anyone ever. But if you want to continue to improve, evolve, then you might want to share it. And so, yeah, I have seen a change, a significant change. Better. That's, you know, maybe somebody's opinion. I don't know. But I've seen it. I can tell it's a fleshed out story now. Yeah.
So, is there any places that you visited or traveled to for inspiration for your writing?
Yes. Excellent question. Every time I go to a little small town, an entire story downloads, of course. So recently I went to Halifax for my writing residency for school. And we visited this little wee town called Lunenburg, home of the Blue Nose. You probably don't know that ship, but anyways, we went there and we had fish and chips. We went back and I went to school for another 3 days. And I said to my husband, we have to go back there. Something's downloading. I need to get back into that little town. So we did. On the Friday night, we had cash with us. And so we went for a ride and had some fish and chips again. And I walked through the entire town and I took photos. Now in this little town, it is, what did they call that now? Not historical, but there's a name for it when there are plaques on the houses. Heritage site, I believe is what it's called. And so, you know, Dr. Macmillan was the first doctor in this town from 1808 to 19 whatever. Would have been a long life, but so it was very interesting because a lot of the houses still had all of those plaques. It's very much as it was. The shipyards are right there, restaurants, cafes, small shops. Incredible little town. And so a complete story right there in the town. 3 bookstores. Could not believe that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had a whole story download. So, I mean,
And
yes, experiences like that happen to me, but I'm not a big traveler at this point. So
so it downloaded. Is that something that you've written already, or is it still kind of just percolating?
that's definitely, that's fresh. That's fresh off the brain, because it was just in June, and I'm finishing a manuscript for my second book right now. But I definitely took a lot of notes, a lot of photos, and that is so fresh in my mind that I don't think it's going to be an issue to just tap right back into it. Yeah.
So the one you're working on now, you want to give any clues, anything, any information about what that book's about, and
Yes.
where you're seeing that may be coming out down the road?
Yes, definitely. So there's like what would you call it? Like a 2.0? I just finished a little novella that I'm hoping to have out for Thanksgiving. And it's a retelling of the Christmas Carol, but in Thanksgiving. And so the ghosts are dogs. So that one I'm hoping to have out in the next month or so. And it's called Oswald Stopped Smiling on a Sunday, a Thanksgiving tale. So that one will just park to the side. But my next book is called Must Love Rescue Dogs, and it's a meet cute in the dog park. So, yeah. It's there are lots of dogs. There's two protagonists and lots of Easter eggs of the things that I love, of course. And it's a typical, he rescues her over and over and over again until the end when I flip the script and the man is in a real precarious situation and she comes and rescues him. So that's
And
coming
the,
soon.
and the dogs in that story, are they
Oh, so
based
many
on any of
dogs.
your dogs or
No, not these. Funny enough, I put two corgis in this story because when I visit my son in the city in Toronto, it's one of the most popular dogs in the city. That and a Shiba Inu. For whatever reason, somebody wants to tell me why, they are the most popular dogs. So I thought, and I always sort of gave the corgis a bad rap, and I felt really bad about that because I'd make fun of them. I'm sorry. I really do apologize to all the corgi owners. I think I had one when I was younger, and I need to find the photo. But and so I thought, as a redemption, or sorry, as an apology, I put two corgis in the story. And I called them Margie and Lizzie for the Queen because she loved corgis. And not that I was a Queen fan, I just thought it was cute. There are so many dogs in this story, and at the end, I ran this little week contest, if you will, if you'll call it that, on Instagram, and I asked people for the name of their dog and just a one-liner about their dog story. And so I thought, you know what? I think at the end of the story, I'm going to name all of them instead of just picking one. Like there's one that's going to make it into the story, but at the end, I'm going to thank everyone and their dog for entering. There aren't a ton of them. But it'll be, I think it's something fun, right? If people go, oh, that's my dog. And, you know, yeah.
they're 10 minutes of fame being in a character in the book,
Yeah.
right?
In
Yeah.
print forever. In paw print forever.
All right. So what else? So is there some other book, a different genre, anything that you haven't written yet that you're thinking
Oh,
about writing beyond what you've told us right now?
too many,
Yeah.
Randy. It's like my hobbies. I
Yeah.
have too many genres floating around in my mind. I've got some cozy mysteries. Yeah, I've got a notebook filled with storylines. And so hopefully they'll all come back to me. The Lunenburg one is very fresh, so that could be the next one. But I would actually like to write a second book to North of Broken and Forever Home. And for those that do read it, they'll see that I may have created a couple, potential couple for a second book. So that is also an aspiration. And thankfully, I am going to retire because I don't know how I would get all of these books written. I need time.
Well, yeah, that's the hard thing when you work, finding time to
Yes.
write. I used to have people come to me all the time. I said, I wish you could put out
Mhm.
books faster. And I says, well, if I didn't have to sleep, I could write more when I was working. Now I'm retired, I don't have as many excuses as I used to. So
Randy, do you dictate it all or do you type it all?
I'm all tight.
Okay. I've been playing with dictation, and I have to say, once I start, and if I'm in the car driving like a long distance, 4 hour, 6 hour drive, every now and again, it really helps for
Yeah.
me to just get some of it out of my head. But you have to be in that flow state of dictation for sure. It's not
And
easy.
I've interviewed a lot of authors who have, the little, they do it on their phone or whatever.
Hmm.
But yeah, they do that. They're like, okay, I got an idea. I
Yep.
gotta speak this out. I go back to an old Seinfeld episode where he woke up in the middle of the night with this great joke he thought, and it was so funny. And then he wrote it down on there, and he was laughing. And he goes back to sleep and wakes up the next morning and he reads it and he goes, "That's not funny."
I feel that way too. When I transcribe it and try to read it, I'm like,
Yeah,
what was I trying to say there? Because it may not necessarily come out the same
that's
way,
right.
right?
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
yeah.
I have that too with my little notebook here that I have as well that
Ah,
I'm writing
yes.
notes in all times, and sometimes I'll refer back to it later, especially when I'm editing, and I refer back to it and go, okay, I've said to look for this down the road in the book. Okay, I don't understand what I wrote here. Plus, I have lousy penmanship too. So
Oh,
maybe
I
I should
doubt that.
dictate. Maybe I
Yeah,
should
yeah,
dictate.
yeah, maybe. Well, it is beneficial for those who do have issues with writing or typing.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I lost my. I was going to ask a question, but I forgot. Penmanship. Yeah, it's gone. That's
That's
okay.
okay. And sometimes when I'm writing, of course, my brain is going faster than my fingers, or sometimes my
Yes.
fingers are going faster than my brain. And when I go back to read later,
Hmm.
I go back and I go, okay, what was that? That doesn't make sense and stuff. So,
I
but
do.
it doesn't happen too often, but
Yeah.
every now and then. So uh, that's the one good thing. At least I can type pretty quickly.
Yes.
Usually I can type about as fast as I can think, but every now and then, not so much. So
Like the people who say took them 10 years to write a book.
yeah.
I don't know how they didn't lose interest, honestly. Like and I respect them for doing it and for persevering, but the more I think about it, I realize that I need to be in the presence of that project in order to be fully immersed in it. So if I expanded that by years, I don't even understand that concept. I would love to talk to someone about that to see what that felt like, how they stayed in it.
I've had several authors, and the one I interviewed last week, his first book, it took about 10 years, he said too. So, and then once
Wow.
he got it out, then he's been faster since then. But yeah,
Yeah.
some of it is just finding the right voice, and he sent it off to
Mm.
different people, and he finally had someone told him, well, you need to write. In one case, it was the point of view.
Oh,
He tried to do it in first person, and they said, no, you really need to do it in third person, or vice versa. I can't remember what Chris said.
right.
And he said he changed it that, and when he went and he had to rewrite the whole book, and it's like that was like the light went on, bang. So sometimes
Wow.
it's just something as simple as that.
Well, I commend people for doing that. And my patience is probably too short to stick with it. Like if I had to rewrite my entire book, I'm out.
Yeah.
My attention span's too
It's
short.
tough. Yeah. Well, and I've heard authors too, who throw out entire sections of books and start all
Yes.
over and all that other stuff. And
Yeah.
I've never done that. About the only thing I've ever done is I've written a chapter two different ways because I
Mm.
didn't like the way the first did and stuff. But I'm
Hmm.
not a huge whatever's on the paper. I usually go with, and then I go with my editor or my feedback from my beta
Hmm.
readers or whatever, and then I might change some of it. But yeah, it's a lot of people. It's write and rewrite and constantly rewrite. Maybe that's why sometimes I get myself in trouble too. So.
Yeah. No, and I respect that. I don't think I'd have the patience. That's all.
All right. Well, we're about 53 minutes in, so I'm going to wrap up with the last few questions here. So
Yeah.
I always ask everybody this question. Every episode, name of the show is Bringing Life to Characters. So, what
Yes.
is your secret sauce to get those characters to jump off the page? And obviously, some of yours are based on real people or real
Hmm.
dogs,
Hmm.
real canines. So, what is it you try to do to get those characters to jump off and bring them to life?
Well, for a long time, I pushed away the notion that writing from the heart was where I needed to be because I thought that was too light and fluffy. That would make me not a good writer, not a credible writer. And so I really shied away from that. And I tried to write something very different than what was authentically part of who I am. And then I realized that I missed writing like that. And I didn't feel like writing anymore when I tried to do something else or be someone else. So I came back to writing from the heart. And when I do that, I do believe that that's when things come to life, whether it's a dog's voice or a human. I just have to write authentically. And yeah, it might be a lot of mushy, lovey dovey storylines with happy ever afters, but where I am right now, that may change later on. But for me, it's just always who I have been. And I think that's what really brings them to life is it really is a part of me. It's my writing voice and I believe what I'm writing.
So that's another one of the questions I ask, and you're kind of bearing your soul here in a lot of cases, and so you
Hmm.
find writing is therapeutic for you. in a lot of ways. Is that true?
Um, Therapeutic? No, I don't think so. Not for me.
Yeah.
But I think that writing is where my heart lives. And so it's just a comfort zone for me. Not just, it is a comfort zone for me. I love being in that space. It's where I feel like 100% myself. But it doesn't, I'm not, maybe if I was writing nonfiction, it would be therapeutic. But I'm writing stories that make me feel good. Now, if that's called therapeutic, then so be it. But I'm not working out my life issues in my fiction books. Not at this point. Doesn't mean it won't happen.
Well, that's one of the things being a mystery crime writer. I can kill off the people I don't like, right?
Ooh,
So maybe that'll be down the road somewhere for me.
cozy mystery coming at you, right?
Somebody killed in the kitchen or in
Oh
the
yeah.
knitting with the knitting needles or
Oh
whatever, right?
yeah. Yeah. Slightly push them down the stairs.
So, what advice do you offer to aspiring writers who want to get into this crazy business?
Oh, there's so many pieces of advice. And I think, be authentic, write from your heart if that's what calls to you. But find your people. For me, that's a big one is surround yourself with not just like-minded people, but supportive people, whether that's friends, family, a writing group. Maybe they're complete strangers, but they are people who share in the passion of writing. And so in doing so, you'll see conversations will pop up. You'll start to do the you too, me too, like best friends. And so I think surrounding yourself with people, whether that's online groups, there's so many options now. There's no reason not to surround yourself with one or two or a few people. So find your people, keep writing, have fun. Don't take it too seriously unless it's a murder mystery. No.
Well, and it's tough too, and I've often tell people, do it because you love it. Don't do it because you're going to make a lot of money at it. Because
That's right.
very few make a lot of money at it, and
That's
that's a
right.
tough road. But if you have a
Hmm.
passion for it and you want to do it, then take the time to do it and
Yeah.
get those crazy ideas out of your mind. Which is being a murder mystery guy, I always have a lot of those. I have to dump out of my brain.
Yeah. Go for the feeling, right? Like I used to do things for approval, but now I do them for fun. I mean, that's cheesy, but it's true. If you think about when you're in that moment of creation and that feeling that you get, it's like some people get that from exercise, some people get it from chocolate. It's be in that moment. And writing is one of the cheapest hobbies out there. Pencil and paper.
Well, and when you're in the zone, you were talking about too. Once you kind of start, you got that flow going, and it just kind of bang, bang, bang. That
Yep.
there's nothing like that, and that's one of those times when I wish I didn't need to sleep because you just have those things that
Yes.
got to get them down sometimes.
Yes. That's when you got to dictate, Randy.
That's what I'll do. I need to learn how to do it in my sleep. That's what I need to do. So maybe I need to put a recorder in the bed. I'm sure
There
my
you
wife
go.
would be thrilled with that. Um, what about marketing? What you got any marketing tips for people? Obviously, you weren't trying to sell a ton of books. You were trying to
Hmm.
you wanted to get your work out there, but you weren't trying to be a number one New York Times bestseller. But what
Hey,
did
if
you
it
do anything
happens.
special to market it?
Well, I think for me, what's been working, and people even recognize it in me now, is that I do find collaborations. I find ways to make the experience fun. And I have hustled this book since February. And I still am, but I find ways. I had a woman knitting a pair of socks in the story in the back of the truck. So I went to a couple yarn stores and I said, hey, do you want to have a book club? We can do a sock yarn. What's the word I'm looking for? She dyed yarn to match the cover of my book. And so we did a whole thing that way. I collaborated with another woman to do a workshop where she did a craft. I did readings. I created poems based on what people submitted for words. Like there are so many ways to collaborate with people, but you have to find the right ones for you. For me, it works. I love doing it. It's because I love coming up with 50,000 ideas that I can't get done. But follow through, collaborate. That's for me, I think has been the greatest joy, and it's a great way to market yourself. You're supporting another person, another artist, and you're having fun. Oh, and selling a book.
So you kind of mentioned it a little earlier, but I'll bring it up again. You had readers helping shelters. So how does that work for people who want to buy your book and you donate a proceeds from that book to a
Hmm.
shelter? I don't know if it's a certain shelter or you.
Hmm.
How does that work for you?
Well, I mean, I attend a lot of vendor shows and farmers markets, that sort of thing. I sell on my own. And so a portion of every book I sell, I gather the money. And when I, have a little fair amount, it's not a lot because you have to sell a lot of books, but
Right.
I sell some book merch as well. And I include portions from those purchases as well. Then I'm able to give that back to local shelters. And I choose a different shelter all the time. As you said before, there are so many different types of shelters. I even donated to a turtle sanctuary locally here.
Wow.
When I do a vendor show in a different town or a different city, I find a shelter there, and then I find the person, and then I send them the money. So it's just my way to give back to rescue shelters. I can't give back a ton of time at this point, but at least I can do something. And I will do that for the life of my books forever and ever. Forever. Oh my goodness.
So here's your website, and on your website you have a link there where you can purchase the book from you, and you give a portion
Hmm.
of it. I'm assuming it would be a signed book that you would mail to them. I'm assuming, is that how that works, or how's that
That's a
applicable?
really good question because I haven't really had any purchases on my
Oh,
website.
darn.
So
Well, you got it there. Well, people
we're
better start buying, right?
yes, yeah. I mean, I'm in bookstores. I'm in our big Canadian bookstore, but it can be found online as well, Amazon, all those fun things. But yes, if somebody actually purchased from my website, I'll work it out.
And you also have some links on there to shelters that people can donate to as well. You had, I think, 4 or 5 I saw
Yes.
there that you have.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
assuming a couple of those were where you found your dogs through the years. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah.
All right. So, what about events? You got any events coming up that you're going to be doing?
I sure do.
Yeah.
I have one this coming weekend. We have a restaurant and it's very popular. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's so popular and very well attended. So they have a farmer's market every Saturday. So I'm going to pop myself underneath their covered roof and hang out there for the day with another author. I have a lot of different events coming up this fall, but I try not to overbook because they can be very overwhelming, right? You get mentally sort of exhausted after those days, but they're fabulous. And lots of different ones too. I'm going to a pet expo in Southern Ontario. That should be so much fun. A local Christmas market. So, yeah, the farmers markets and vendor shows are fun, and I just try to do one a month, as to not so I don't burn out. Yeah.
And then Ramblings from a Little Shed is your podcast. So, tell us a little bit about your or vodcast, as I call it, because does
Yes.
have video now, though you said at first the first couple episodes didn't. So,
That's right. We did start out as audio only because I was still sitting in that discomfort and fear, right? That it was who would listen to this. But hey, I have a few listeners now. So we're doing all right. I absolutely love the vodcast. That's a new term for me.
yeah, that's
I
okay.
co-host, yeah, I co-host with my adult son Rogan, and we talk to people from all walks of life. First, we ask them about their pets or animals that have influenced them, their lives, their creativity. Doesn't have to mean that they have pets. It could just be. I had a lawyer who was a dog uncle, and he talked about that dog, but he also wrote a book with a dog in it. So, so many different conversations, but they're just casual conversations. And here's what I love is that I can have people from law enforcement, I've had them on the show, and they're, a certain stature, we'll say, and you have expectations. But the second they talk about their pet,
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this, eh? Their voice goes up about 8 octaves. Their face softens and their little pet names come out, and I think it's just there's just something about the way that we talk about our animals, our pets, that softens us. And I think it's just lovely. And then we talk about the adult and their creativity, but it's the pets that come first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're having a lot of fun. I'm fully in it, and now we're, full on video. It's exciting. Am I awkward? Absolutely. Do I fumble on my words? Definitely. I talk with my hands way too much. That's the French
That's
coming out.
okay.
Yeah.
That's you're into the show, right? I do the same thing. My hand goes
Yeah.
sometimes, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
always when I stand.
Yeah.
Well, I'm moving around a lot because I write standing. I do everything standing. I don't like to sit.
Yeah.
I'll fall asleep sitting if I'm sitting for too long, and even when I'm writing it. So all right, and all that's on that website. So anyone who wants to see those, and are those podcasts? Are they just on your website? Are they on YouTube? Are they on any of the various podcast sites?
Yeah. They're pretty much everywhere, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, even Riverside and Substack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ramblings from the Little Shed is the name of the podcast, correct?
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Right. All right. Well, we're about an hour and 7 minutes here.
Wow.
Anything else you want to bring up that we didn't cover? We covered a lot, but
We covered a lot.
yeah, we try to get most of the bullet points in there.
Yeah, no, it's great job. I have nothing left to add other than thank you for this interview. It was fun. You gave me another life aha moment with my writing, so I really love that. So I think I might actually go write that down as soon as we're
Add it
done.
to your list, huh?
I'm going to add it to the list, and thank you for bringing that up for me. But this was fun. I appreciated it, and sounds like you might have to come on my podcast because you love rescue dogs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'd be more than happy to be on your show.
Wonderful.
Send me an email sometime, and I'll
You
take
bet.
it. So, all right. Well, thank you, Holly. We appreciate you having on. Good luck with the next book. The Thanksgiving one's coming out around Thanksgiving, I'm assuming. So,
Soon as possible. Yeah. Canadian Thanksgiving,
oh yeah. Again,
October.
so you're clear. Thanksgiving's October. Yeah. So I
Yep.
should know that. But I live in the U.S., so I don't. My daughter, she works with a company, and a lot of them are Canadian, so she's always talking about, oh, they're off today because
Yep.
their holidays are a lot different than our holidays. So
You
yeah,
got it.
a lot of
I
kids.
should go based on your Thanksgiving because it would give me an extra month.
Give me an extra month to get it ready, so you feel like it's ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Randy.
Yeah. Thank you. You have a great night, and we will talk to you down the road.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, thanks everyone. I don't have another show for a few weeks because we're going to Nashville for the Killer Nashville event, and I have a book up for Best PI, so we'll see how that goes. But we have a dinner there, and we'll spend a few days in Nashville. Great city. She loved country music. If she loves country music, you got to go to Nashville. Plenty of places to see there, including Johnny Cash's home is there. So, but my next one will be September 8th, and I'll have at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and I'll have Allison McBain on. So, thanks everyone. Take care, and we will see you then.